Welcome back to the Delaware Way. It's amazing the amount of technology and innovation that's coming out of Delaware, and especially the University of Delaware. An example of that is Amy Lalime, who is the Product and Marketing Manager of M-Trigger. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So what I said at the top, that's true, right? I mean, it is amazing. The University of Delaware has been in the forefront of innovation, including M-Trigger.
Yeah, so UD has a really strong entrepreneurial group of programs. So there are several, the HORN program, the Office of Economic Innovations and Partnerships, which is where M-Trigger specifically came through, among others. So they're really kind of leaning into the entrepreneurial spirit and programs and giving students hands-on experience before graduation.
And the startups in Delaware that have come out of those programs, they're amazing. What is M-Trigger?
So M-Trigger is a biofeedback company. The device itself is an EMG-based biofeedback for physical therapy. And that means the goal of the product is to inform patients and physical therapists about where their muscle activation is happening during a therapy regimen.
Why is that important?
So when you're doing rehab, you need to be sure that you're targeting and activating the right muscle group. A big part of rehab, particularly in severe injury or surgery, is that the neuromuscular pathway is severed or damaged. So often you need to rebuild the neuromuscular control from the ground up. And so what biofeedback does is it allows a reading of exactly that neuromuscular activity. So that is a voluntary control of the muscle, as opposed to a
therapist could be working with someone, and they may not, the person that they're working with may not get the benefit if the wrong parts of the body are being stimulated.
Exactly. There is a chance that you could be performing an exercise, performing it with the wrong muscles, and then you're not rehabbing the muscles you're there to rehab.
You want to show us how this works?
Sure. So it's actually pretty simple, and our whole interface is mobile, which is kind of the modernization aspect of what we've done. Biofeedback is not a new modality. It's been around since the 80s and 90s, been thoroughly researched since then. But what we've done is taken that interface, put it on a mobile platform that allows us to communicate more easily with customers, do feature updates, and reduce the cost a lot. So that is something that has been prohibitive for a lot of people. Most biofeedback systems are kind of entwined with a bunch of other applications, and they become very expensive, clunky, clinical, difficult to use. So we're going for easy to use, cost effective, all that good stuff. So what I'm going to do right here, this is the device itself, and that's the only hardware we're having to deal with. Excuse my cables here.
That's okay. And so a therapist will be putting this on, right? Or do you put it on yourself?
It's very easy to put on once you know what the electrode placement is. So I'm actually just going to put it on my forearm for demonstration purposes. So right here, this would be reading. These are just self-adhesive electrodes. And all they're reading is the electrical activity that my muscle is producing. So I've got my unit on, I've got my electrodes. I'm going to connect over Bluetooth right here. And then I'm going to come into train. And so you can actually see my muscle activation happening right there. So that is telling me that, say, if this was the exercise I was intended to be doing, I'm activating in the right place, right? So, and then we can come in and what we can do.
But that's a very simple example of it. So,
yes.
Because people are looking at this going, well, of course you are. You're going like this. But it's not always that clear.
It's not always that clear, right? So a great example, kind of in where we started, is with ACL rehab and knee repairs. So often the quad activation is damaged during those procedures or injuries, and quad activation is incredibly important for just daily life. Not only athletes trying to return to sport, but a person walking around. If your gait is incorrect because of a weakness or a neuromuscular deficit in your quad, that is something that your body relearns, and then you can hurt yourself in other ways if it's not relearned properly. So often we will see compensation in specific parts of a step, say when you're trying to extend your leg, so straighten it all the way. Often you will see patients compensate with their hamstring because the injury has been to the quad, so your body guards against it.
So the compensation part is if you have a part of your body that's injured, sometimes you'll avoid using that, and you have to make sure that it is being used and stimulated for the healing to take place. How are you doing with this?
Me specifically?
No, I mean, the company.
Yeah, so we launched about a year ago. So launched in terms of having people pay us for it and get it in the market and get feedback was a little over a year ago. That was January of 2018. And we have over 150 units in the field currently. We're working on a generation 2 of the hardware itself. We've had a couple of app releases, so updates to features there. We actually have one planned for tomorrow as well.
And do you get funding? Are people investing in you?
Yes, it's privately funded, co-founded by a local entrepreneur and then a PT out of Texas.
Wow, that's incredible. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming in. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Amy Lalime, Product and Marketing Manager of M-Trigger. Delaware Way continues right after this.